airplane mode.
What's up, everybody? Hope you had a good Thanksgiving and you're getting ready for Christmas. As you can see, we've cleaned up here in the shop. It's been a few weeks since I've made a video. I've been traveling all around the U.S. For my day job, and the travel has definitely picked up. And actually, I'm traveling again next week, so I really don't have a lot of time or downtime. I've been pretty busy, and it looks like 2025 is going to be pretty busy as well. And I don't make enough content or money at all on YouTube to quit my day job. So I've got to fit these videos in between when I can. You can see the area is cleaned up. No more TV boxes next to the car. The car sits actually a lot closer to the wall now. I can almost get the full profile of the car in there. Tomorrow morning, I'm gonna take the car to DIY Garage and put it up on the lift. We're gonna inspect it, and I'm gonna check some components so that I can install what I have over here in the box. But what's in this box from FCP Euro, let's open it up. These are bearings, new nut for the strut, and this is a front mount. I have two front mounts and I have two rear mounts. Why? Because last time I replaced these, I did not use Porsche branded parts. I used aftermarket. Now they should be one for one. They were OEM or OE quality, whatever. So they should be fine. But I think, my opinion, that the bottom side of this on the aftermarket one has gotten smacked a couple times from some bad roads, and because it was aftermarket and it wasn't Porsche, that I think the strut mount on the front, especially on the driver's side, I think the strut mount on the driver's side front is bad. That's part of what we're going to inspect tomorrow. I don't know if I can confirm it in the car, but I'm going to try. And from the other box, we have rears. The rears, when I changed them, were fine. They didn't seem bad. It comes with a new mount, new foam on the inside, new bearing, new spacer. Also has the nuts. The important thing about this is on one side on the rear of the car, the passenger side rear, when I did install them, one of the three studs started spinning. Yeah, also aftermarket, not Porsche. These are all OEM Porsche parts. The other stuff is aftermarket parts. So I think my thinking here is that they're probably not, especially the rears, they're probably not bad, but I can't get a full torque on one of those three studs. Probably doesn't make any difference at all, but I want to get it right. I want it to be 100%. I watched another video where a guy was doing various different stuff. He had like 4 different shocks that he was putting on this BMW, and he was testing each one and writing down the specs and all that on the board. And on one of the 4 sets, he noticed that the strut mount on it was an aftermarket one. It was the same spec as what was supposed to be on the BMW, the OEM one, but for whatever reason, the car rode higher in the front. As you can see mine, I have a bigger gap in the front than the back. So in the video of the guy with the BMW and doing all this setup, what he found was that the front strut mounts he used on one of the suspension setups that was not an OEM strut mount, it was an aftermarket, was 3 millimeters taller when you put them on the table side by side. So goal number 1 tomorrow is inspect the car. We're gonna take it up to the lift, put it in the air, get underneath it, check our control arms, check torque of everything, because that's another thing I want to check. I want to check the torque, especially of this control arm. I've had that happen in the past where the lower control arm was not torqued properly and it was giving you noises and knocks, and you thought for the suspension it was just bolts that weren't torqued all the way down. So I want to check that. And the other part of it is, if everything looks good and I still have a little bit of knocking when I come off, when I'm driving down the road and I hit bumps, then I'm going to change the strut mounts. And if I'm going to change the strut mounts, then I might as well change the suspension or the springs and put the H&R springs on there. I actually ordered the Bilstein B16 shocks, that Damtronics, to put on this car because this car has PASM, and then I canceled my order. The reason I canceled my order is because it's 3,416 reasons why I could not do it. I'm not sponsored, and I just could not swallow that pill. That's a really good price, actually, because those are normally closer to $5,000, but for $3,400, I can't afford to do that right now. That one may be something I'll do again in the future. But if everything looks good and I find no issues with the car, then I'm probably gonna go after changing the strut mounts. And if I change the strut mounts, then I gotta take the springs off the car, right? So if I'm gonna take the springs off, we're gonna reinstall the H&R springs and lower the car. I know with the H&R springs, I did have them on them before, and on smooth roads and on most roads, because of the progressive rate, the car does ride very well, very comfortable and compliant. The other thing I want to change is the bump stops. I have already changed the bump stops once, but anytime you refresh your suspension, it's always a good idea to change your bump stops, because a lot of times your noises and your knocks can be your bump stops. Probably nothing else wrong with your car, you just don't realize it. So I have brand new, never used before bump stops in a plastic bag over there in my toolbox. We'll install those if we decide that we're going to take the car apart tomorrow. Now, I could inspect it and say, you know what, the car's good, I'm going to leave it alone because I got a work trip. This is the front. You can easily get 2 fingers in there, probably more, almost 3 fingers. If I go to the rear, you can barely get 2 fingers in there. There's no way I can get a 3rd finger in there. So the rear is sitting lower than the front. I have a bigger gap in the front. The gap in the front is, I think it's normal anyways, but I noticed that this gap seems bigger than when I first bought the car. And I looked at previous videos and previous pictures I took of the car, and it does look like the gap on the front is bigger now. And the only thing that has really changed from when I bought the car till now is, well, new shocks, which will also push it up, but also the strut mounts. I'm using aftermarket strut mounts instead of OEM strut mounts. We'll figure all that out tomorrow. So stay tuned. That's tomorrow's video. This is just an update. Sorry I haven't put out content in a while for you guys. I know you've missed me. I've missed making content, but we're coming back. We're gonna make some contact before the new year. All right, catch you later.